My dear friends, today we celebrate the fourth Sunday of Lent in year C. The text today deals with the theme of us wandering away from God and God's response to us. The first reading, taken from the book of Joshua, marks a significant turning point in Israel's history as they finally enter the Promised Land after 40 years of wandering in the desert. The passage begins with God saying to Joshua, "Today I have rolled away from you the disgrace of Egypt." This statement reflects a profound shift in the Israelites' identity. For generations, they had lived with the shame and memory of slavery in Egypt. By bringing them into the Promised Land, God fulfills His covenant and restores their dignity as His chosen people. The location of this event, Gilgal, meaning rolling, reinforces the theme of liberation and renewal as it signifies that the weight of their past oppression has been lifted. The celebration of the Passover at Gilgal is significant. Passover commemorates Israel's liberation from Egypt, and observing it in the Promised Land symbolizes both the completion of their journey and the beginning of a new chapter. The shift from eating manna to the produce of the land underscores a transition in God's provision. While wandering in the wilderness, the Israelites relied on manna, a miraculous gift that symbolized God's direct care. Now, they eat from the land, signifying that God's provision will continue through more ordinary, natural means. The cessation of manna is not a sign of abandonment, but rather a call for the Israelites to trust in God's continued care in a new way. This shift reflects spiritual maturity, moving from dependence on extraordinary signs to recognizing God's presence in the rhythms of everyday life. The Israelites' entrance into Canaan is the fulfillment of the promise God made to Abraham centuries earlier. Their arrival marks not only the end of their physical wandering, but also a new phase of covenantal relationship with God. The land is both a gift and a responsibility, a place where they must live according to God's law and be a witness to His faithfulness. This passage invites us to reflect on how God leads us through life's transitions. Just as the Israelites moved from the wilderness into the settled life in Canaan, we too encounter moments when God's care shifts from extraordinary to ordinary. Trusting in God means recognizing His hand even when His provision seems less dramatic. The story of Gilgal teaches us that God not only frees us from the past, but also equips us to live faithfully in the present, confident in His ongoing presence and care. In the second reading, taken from the second letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians, St. Paul presents a profound teaching on the transformative power of Christ's work of reconciliation. This passage underscores the radical change that occurs when a person is united with Christ. Through baptism and faith, believers are not simply improved versions of their old selves, they are entirely new creations. The old life marked by sin, separation from God, and brokenness is replaced by a new life of grace, unity, and righteousness. Paul explains that this transformation is not a human achievement, but a gift from God, who took the initiative to heal the broken relationship caused by sin. Through the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus, God restored humanity to Himself. Christ's sacrifice on the cross bridges the gap between humanity and God, making reconciliation possible. This text also highlights the depth of God's mercy. Rather than holding humanity's sins against them, God extends forgiveness and grace. Further, Paul identifies believers as ambassadors for Christ. As ambassadors, Christians are entrusted with the mission of reconciliation, sharing the message of God's mercy and inviting others into this restored relationship with Him. Jesus, though sinless, bore the weight of human sin, enabling believers to be justified before God. This passage challenges us to reflect on our identity as new creations in Christ. Have we truly left behind our old selves and embraced the new life that Christ offers? As ambassadors for Christ, we are called not only to experience reconciliation, but to extend it to others. Are there relationships in our lives that need healing? Are we instruments of peace and mercy, reflecting God's reconciling love to the world? In chapter 15 of the Gospel of Luke, we find three parables: the parable of the lost sheep, the parable of the lost coin, and the parable of the loving father, more commonly known as the parable of the prodigal son. These parables illustrate a progression in numbers: one in 100, one in 10, and finally, one in 1, emphasizing God's personal and unwavering love for each individual. The entire chapter is set against the backdrop of the complaints of the Pharisees and teachers of the law. They were disturbed that Jesus welcomed sinners and ate with them. To them, if Jesus were truly the Messiah, He would not associate with tax collectors, prostitutes, and others they deemed unworthy. In response, Jesus told these three parables to correct their misconceptions about God's character, revealing His boundless mercy toward the lost, the broken, and the needy. We all will find something in common with the main characters of this parable. Like the prodigal son, we all share a misguided desire for independence, a longing to live life on our own terms. This attitude often leads to sin, which distances us from God and leaves us spiritually discontent. The younger son in the parable learned through hardship that greed and reckless living ultimately result in emptiness. He also realized that true riches are not material possessions, but the love, security, and dignity found in the Father's house. The Pharisees and the teachers of the law closely resemble the older brother in the parable. Outwardly, they followed religious laws perfectly, but inwardly their hearts were hardened. They believed their relationship with God was based on their own merit, thinking they deserved His favor more than sinners did. They did not see themselves as sinners in need of mercy, nor did they rejoice when others received it. The parable of the prodigal son beautifully captures the very essence of the season of Lent. We all are sinners, some small, some big. We all have gone away from God, some far, some very far. Some of us are like the younger son, loving a bad life, while some are like the elder son, living a good life, but not out of love, rather out of compulsion and self-righteousness. Both need conversion. Fasting, almsgiving, and prayer are not goals in themselves, they are means to lead us back to God. The 40 days of Lent are an opportunity to examine our hearts. Have we drawn closer to God? Have we abandoned sinful ways? Have we grown in love and mercy toward others? As we approach the end of Lent, we must ask ourselves, are we nearer to God than we were 40 days ago? May we choose restoration over resentment, joy over bitterness, and God's mercy over self-righteousness. May God bless us all.